Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever geography you are. This is Pranav Guha from Edu TV. And with us is Miss Tishya Chando, an 11th grader who is a moderator. She's studying at Tagore International School, Vasant Vihar. She will moderate the show and she will introduce our guests also. Over to you, Tisha.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, everyone. It is an absolute honor to welcome you all to this enlightening conversation as part of the Graduate Gateway series by EduTV. I am Tisha Chandok, a proud 11th grader from Tagore International School, Vasant Vihar, New Delhi, and I am thrilled to be moderating today's session. Before we begin, let me take a moment to acknowledge the incredible work of EduTV. With a reach spanning 28 countries, 2,000 plus videos, connections to over 3,000 schools, and partnerships with more than 400 universities, EduTV has captured the attention of millions of eyes around the globe. Their programs serve as a bridge between schools, universities, and corporates, creating meaningful conversations and inspiring young minds. We're privileged to have with us today two exceptional leaders in education. Mr. Ajay Singh, principal of the prestigious Scindia School in Gwalior, and Ms. Anju Deoskar, director of outreach at Flame University, Pune, India's first liberal arts university. Today's discussion will focus on the critical journey from school to university for 12th graders, touching on essential topics like the value of residential schooling, the potential of liberal arts education, and preparing for global multidisciplinary careers. Let's dive right in and begin this exciting conversation. Over to you, Ms. Deoskar, to start the same. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Good morning, everyone. The title for the session really, interests me, the Graduate Gateway. And the moment you say this, I think there's a huge amount of emotions, different kind of emotions that, the grade 12 students go through. Often in the Indian setup, we do not give, much attention to the emotional transition that a student is going to be. But now, with my with the principals are here, we definitely want to know, because your school is a residential school, and students are already out from their homes and they live on campus, and there's a feeling of a community and camaraderie, and there's a big family rather than a family of 5 or 6. You're a big family of a few hundred, or a few thousand students. Now, journey still remains that you're going to leave a very protected environment of a school, whether you're a student, a day scholar, or you're a resident of a residential school. It doesn't matter. So, sir, I've been just pondering about few things that came to my head. So, if I have to prepare a guide for a grade 12 students, what will be the first 5 things on top of my head? I think the first thing that I would want you to comment is self-reflection. I think we don't take a moment. We're just consuming what we're getting from outside. We don't really reflect on ourselves. Maybe doing some activities or engaging with in conversations where we can identify our interest and strength or passion, or maybe ask yourself, what subject excites me, what kind of environment do I thrive in. So looking at this, what is it that Scindia does for the readiness, to create that readiness in a grade 12 when they're stepping out of the school and making their career pathway to a university?
Wonderful. And good morning, Sanju, and good morning, Tisha. Thank you for inviting us. And as the question leads us to find answers to certain things which we are looking at. So how does a grade 12 prepare? In fact, the grade 12 prepares right from 8th and 9th. That's the first step. You should not be preparing in grade 12th. Grade 12th is just the submissions of everything which has been prepared. So number one, the starting point should be defined clearly, that from 8th and 9th, they need to get in the process. It may not necessarily be at that point of time the university or the course. But what can be done at the school level, what we try and do and try and achieve is the skill sets which are necessary, as you said. One of the things is self-reflection. The other key components which we try and identify and put it on record in a dossier which we maintain for every child. So there is a progressive dossier, which includes not only the academics, it also includes the comments by the student as to where he was, where is he now, and what is he looking at for the next year. So there is a compilation of his entire progress academically, as well as individually, as well as holistically. So then the teacher's comments and what needs to be done. So this is kind of a record which actually serves as a self-reflection, if you look at it in the broader sense, because they identify their goals, they decide their targets, and the teachers help them to find this journey to completion point. So that's one step which we do in our school as a policy. Secondly, when they're on the field, the 3-4 key elements which immediately come up as an observation is how good is he a team player? How good is he able to manage a conflicting situation on the ground? Because that's an immediate personality. You can't hide it, unlike a classroom. How good is a person to take a decision or an initiative on the ground? So these 3-4 key elements, which goes a long way in actually submitting your profiles, comes out. At the same time, since our school offers a lot of activities, including something which we have as a unique thing called ecology and the wildflower meadow project. So the children are exposed to pursue so many things that they eventually find out 2-3 which are their passion. And then they stick on to it from grade 8, they stick on to it. So this is one area where it defines them that now I want to do this. Now I want to pursue my attention on this field particularly. So it can be a paper mache, it can be book writing, it can be review, movie review, a lot of things. Now, what I'm trying to enhance is we are trying to gradually reach a profile building exercise unobtrusively, right? And then comes around 10th, we try and figure out where do you want to go? Which subjects would you like to opt for? Which are your combinations which you're looking at? So can you list 3-4 of your aspirational things? Can you do a research on whether you want to do it in India or abroad? Can you just, so we take their inputs as to where they are in terms of their own understanding. We also take a feedback from the parent because we need to have all the stakeholders' voices. And then the teachers who have taught them, their feedback is taken as to how this child is in terms of the classroom scenario. And then we find a kind of a mix match. Okay, he seems suited for this. He seems suited for this. And along with it, there is an external element, of course, psychometric testing, and all those things are done to try and have all the information to take a judicious decision. So now in class 12th, it's all about what decisions you have taken, you have identified. Then it's about helping to identify which college, which geographical location. It can be a UK or a US or a Hong Kong or India or a Singapore. So accordingly, you need to prepare. Like one common example, US, it looks at your entire profile, right? So you may be a 95, other may be a 95, but you don't have a strong profile, you're out. The UK predominantly still is more academic oriented than the profile oriented. So that's how we need to really identify their strengths and push it forward. Then comes your SOPs, LLORs. They need to know how to write themselves. They need to know what to write, how to write, what are areas to focus. Otherwise, it just becomes a piece of information which is not powerful, which is not impactful.
And it doesn't help.
It doesn't help because the counselor reads it and the decision is taken, I can tell you, in the first 7 seconds, is what I know from the counselors which I've interacted. They say we read the first paragraph and we know what it is. So the paper goes off as rejected. So the entire 3 years of energy, effort goes in 7 seconds. Maybe if they read the entire thing, maybe 5 minutes. But that's it. Your decision is made. Now that 5 minutes have to be impactful. So I also tell and sit with my teachers that please do not go overboard in writing a letter of recommendation. It's rather better to underplay and show more than overplay and have not evidence for it. So this is how we prepare.
But sir, I must compliment you for whatever I've heard from you. I think in recent past, of course, I engage and interact with a lot of school heads across the country. I think it's a very, very matured and, like you're saying, if you tell your teachers to underplay or just write the actual, because we are the ones who read those essays and stuff like that, and we can just make it out that flowery, frilly language and things
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
In fact, there have been cases where actually the LOR was detrimental to the case, because
Exactly.
so this is something that definitely, and I'm so glad that as a head of the school you do have a look at those things carefully. So it was lovely that to know that the journey actually begins from grade 8, and I'm from Flame University. We are a 100% residential campus, 100%. Even if people are in Pune, they still have to be a residential student. And I can tell you that, while people want to know from us how do students from a Cambridge to a CBSE to an ICSE to an IB, how do these students coming from different boards thrive, or in my university. And let me tell you one thing. I think the most important thing for people in a university is how well can they manage their time.
Yeah.
And students coming to us from boarding school especially, I think they have that edge above them, because they know those little things that will happen. They don't get bothered about those things. They're very focused, driven. So that's something which is really interesting. But I won't digress from the topic. So in my opinion also, sir, I think just one second, please. So what we see is that students must definitely look at the university that they allow research opportunity. They offer the courses that the students want to study. They must understand the admissions requirement of that university. So there are, like you said, US would typically look at a very holistic application, whereas UK, they don't care how many clubs you've participated. They want that you should be in 95 in your physics, and you get it, and you in the clubs when you go to their university. They don't care. Financial planning. There are a lot of times when the students' goals and aspirations don't match of their own parents, and that's very daunting for a student, because some students sometimes they cannot tell their own parents a lot of things, because of whatever the generational gap it is. So financial planning, if there can be more conversations around, like with the counselor, student, and parents, so that we know that this is what my budget is, and that's what we're looking. Apart from that, the student must know, if I'm going anywhere over above, I need to seek for scholarship, which means I need to work on my own self, right?
Exactly.
A balanced profile, I think, which you already are doing with, when you start early in grade 8, we can easily tell from the profile that we see of a student that, if it's genuine or it has been made, it's created in a hustling environment
Yeah.
of grade
Correct.
11, suddenly happen to do these 40 things, which are like, okay, fine, I'm not buying this. So people do understand that. Then prepare for university life. I think they must look at university social media platforms, see what you get to see. You can go to every university if you've shortlisted 5, but you should definitely look at those profiles of the universities, how they are being perceived by the social media, and like you at least get to know. Then I think another thing is to keep calm during the process and don't compare yourself to others. I think this is one thing, again, students must do that. And with this background, my question to you is, what resources or programs does the school offer to assist students with university application process, including their essays, recommendations, interviews? This could be again a job of an office, because this every teacher or every friend cannot do. This has to be like a school initiated process. So how does Cynthia map that out?
Right. So, like we have a full-time student counselor who is on board, and there are others who are there helping her out in the process. Plus, we also have an external agency which comes in on a regular basis. So it's a combined effort actually. And then the house masters who are allocated, they give in their inputs. So as you said rightly, the resource and how the student is individually helped to achieve that goal is, once everything is decided, then as you mentioned, then we look at the financials first. So
Yeah.
there's a dialogue. There's a dialogue with the parent. They're called over, or they're, on a phone or a Zoom meeting. They have a conversation on that same. So some parents who have the benefit of having that money, they are more assured of themselves. Then the second plan is to look at what else can be done, because we don't promote that you get into a loan kind of a situation. The alternative now is, okay, does that university have uh, and
Right.
issue of scholarship, right? Is it only need based or merit based? How does it? What is the amount of scholarship dispersed? Do they look at it positively? So why and how will they give the scholarship? So it works again backwards, as you rightfully mentioned.
Right.
So if that is not happening, then we try also look at what is an alternative. Suppose you don't look at this university because of this constraint, then what's the alternative? Can you look at a equally good university at this place, which has a, a slightly lesser revenue based kind of the same
And
course or
also,
the
it's
same
not
degree?
nice to put all the eggs in the same
Yeah,
basket. Like just
correct.
maybe, like, it's
To
just,
diversify. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that's information again shared, that look at this. You want to do this course. This university is also a very good university because of the placements, because of this. But the advantage is the fees are lesser
Yeah, yeah,
and the staying costs are lesser. So that information is also provided, that you have this alternative. The
yes.
third also is provided, that can you also look at in India as a viable option, do your graduation as the last option, possibly, and then maybe do the masters so that you can add the edge to your existing qualifications. Now, all this dialogue takes place on a regular basis, depending on how much interactive the child is, because they have to be prodded, pushed to really get into the real picture.
Yes. So to this, I'll just mention that, in the last 3, 4 years, we've seen, a major shift, and not Flame alone. I'm sure, the other universities like Flame. Uh, Also, there's a big shift in, especially students who were ideally looking at overseas, and I'm talking from all schools, whether CBSE or IB also. IB especially, we're noticing this. They want that students must have a proper solid reason to go to a campus somewhere overseas, because now with Modi's propaganda, Prime Minister's propaganda of, like, making our own country better in all the fields. There's so many universities from overseas, schools from overseas setting up their campuses here, so they see that this is a huge appetite. The whole world is looking at India, so why should Indians? I mean, I was talking to a parent the other day. We did an open house, and the student was from an IB school in Mumbai, and this was the list of first top three choices were Indian campuses. So this is also shifting. So if you want, we should definitely have more conversations about that, because if you want to study a course which is not available here, then should you go study outside? Otherwise, there are a lot of options, but of course, those are personal choices. So apart from that, my last question to you would be, sir, what initiatives are in place to prepare students for the transitioning, like, the ecosystem or the environment that you have in a school versus a university? In the university, we don't we've you've selected your subjects, we've given your time schedule for your classes. Nobody is chasing that you're 2 minutes late or 5 minutes late, or you've missed your class, or you've done this. Though at Flame we have a very high percentage of attendance, otherwise the students face major issues. Apart from that, now these the diversity that, and with your students it won't be much, because it's already a residential school. But when it comes to, for general people who are hearing you today, what are the things that the school must be doing to prepare that transition from a young adult to almost an adult? Now you'll be voting probably soon. How does a school, or how can a school prepare?
Great. That's a wonderful question. Actually, that's very, very critical. So what happens is, like you said, in the boarding school, slightly distinct advantage of already knowing how to stay in a system similar. However, the freedom multiplies manifold. That's the first thing which we talk about. That you'll have freedom of time, you'll have freedom of movement, you'll have freedom of spending your day. But how will you manage that? So they're spoken on that. Secondly, we also try and identify the climatic conditions. A lot of the times we ignore that. Like in US, when I personally have some chit chats, I said, are you going on the West Coast or the East Coast or Midwest? Now the East is very chilly. So have you prepared mentally to adapt to a situation which may be totally different than your, kind of a Gwalior's
Yeah,
ambience?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The dress, the preparations, what to wear, what to carry, what to take care of. That is one. Are there some risk management points in that particular area, right? So, like some areas where I was in the US, I could find that in the evenings it was not exactly looking very safe, kind of. So, have they studied that? So, not to venture out. So, the guidance is that please don't venture out till the
Yes.
time you're not
Know
safe.
the law of the land.
Correct.
That's what I say. Yeah.
So that's the fourth point actually you mentioned now. So have you gone through the law, legal procedures, the legal what the legal requirements are before you land up? Your, the visa, the money, what are you taking with you? How will you survive the first few months? So then, of course, we are having an advantage where we have an old boys association. So
I
we
was
try
just
and
going to ask
reach
you
out.
that. I think you already have a ace up your sleeve there.
So that helps a lot. So what happens? We get in touch with them and we say that our bacha is coming there. So they provide help initially to settle
What a
down.
beautiful relation that is. I think
That's
that's
amazing. That's amazing.
amazing.
But to
Yeah.
the others, if they can have some sort of, some research where existing student may be there, some
I
known
think so
person may
this
be
would
there.
be a great point for even the day school to start their alumni.
Alumni,
Like,
because
a
it
lot of
helps.
I see only boarding residential
It
schools,
helps.
they have it big way.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the others also have, maybe we've not heard
The
it.
traditional schools have some good, powerful alumni
Yeah.
network. I'll tell you one example, that should answer the question. So one of the kids, he landed in Australia a day prior to when he was supposed to land, and there was nobody to pick him up at the airport. So somehow that miscommunication happened. What he did was, we have a common, this is called the common app group of the old boys. He
Okay.
pasted a message that I am so and so, this house, this batch, I'm in Australia, I need help.
There must be so many
In
people.
half an hour, 3 Scindians landed up.
Yeah.
And they got in an argument that I want to take him home, I want to take him home. That's the kind of spirit. So the others
Yeah.
also need to find out,
Yeah.
this is the kind of resource which should be there, somebody known who can help, because it does
Beautiful
help.
resource, and it's actually genuine. Like, I may ask my father's friend to take, it's an obligation. But when it comes to your own alma mater, you're connected with, I think that camaraderie, and that's what I was saying, that the school's camaraderie is so thick. I mean, you would give away something, this becomes your priority then, which is a great thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps.
I'll just sum this up by just one last point from you. How about so when they're in school, especially the national curriculum schools, they have to make selection of their subjects, for example, humanities, commerce, or sciences. But when you go to a university, most of the international universities are interdisciplinary. Flame, of course, is, and they're all liberal arts colleges that are coming up. They're all interdisciplinary. So, irrespective whether you're a science student, you have to study humanities, or if you're a humanities student, you have to pick up courses in science. That's what liberal education is, right? So do the students get some kind of course, the universities will give some information. For example, students who are applying to me at Flame, we already start telling them that this is what you're expected to do in the first year. But what is the school doing? Because sometimes you may miss, because of the volume of applications we get, we may miss, somebody. So does the school do that? That's first question.
Yeah.
The second question is pertaining to mental health, because I think this is not just a newspaper article or a jargon word. This is a serious issue which
Yes, absolutely.
I know it because I am with the students. I know the batch of students that came first on campus after pandemic. They kept us
Oh, yes, I agree totally.
challenging to
It
because
was on the toes.
on the toes, yeah. So there were, these are serious problems, and so how do you take care of these two aspects? One is interdisciplinary and one is the mental health.
So for interdisciplinary, what we do is we initiate certain projects, which gets them to work with not only their subject combinations, but something beyond.
Okay.
We have also been very, kind of open, as all schools should be, in allowing them to choose their subjects. If they're not really interested only in JE, then they go for maths, physics, chemistry, or maybe a NEET, then they have the option of, otherwise, right now also students have some who is doing physics, along with it, he's also doing a music.
Economics or business
So
along.
this exposure, this talk in the assembly, in their career sessions, we promote this and we try and bring them to do some topics as mini research. So what happens is, when they're doing this mini research, they have to work with different teachers, different areas to actually conclude. They cannot look at only their subject. So they have to reach out, they have to find solutions. it can only be possible when they reach out and like the ecology project. Now it's all geography because it's a mountainous terrain. It's all economics. How much of, how much of carbon are you absorbing? So try and find out some figure. It's all biology, which are the native plants. So they ultimately realize this value. So this starts right again, as I'm saying, right from class 6, we initiate this. So by the time you come to
I
10th
can
and 12th.
give you a very interesting thing, and later on, if we connect, I'll tell Pranav to share your details with me and mine with you. So at Flame, also, like, when students come in, they teach a concept. That concept may be connected with finance. It may be also connected with maybe business, or it may be connected with environmental studies or computer science. So if you create a project which kind of focuses on a particular concept, so it can be, so what happens is, maybe your physics teacher, along with a humanity teacher, a history teacher, is working together to understand something.
Yes, yes.
And those things are very interesting, and I think that essentially have, because I remember a school do that in Pune, because the principal was really impressed by the interdisciplinary, and they were doing interdisciplinary, but not to this level. And so they made it mandatory for the teachers to collaborate and take a class. So how
Yes.
are you bringing in the concept of physics in the class of history, or like, I'm
Absolutely.
not
Absolutely.
the
Yeah, yeah.
subject, but it turned out amazing, and it was more than the students. I think teachers were really exhilarated
Exactly.
with the whole
Exactly.
experience, that, hey, you know what, because I think, again, teachers training, and this is, again, you're the head of the school. That's a big challenge to get talent to teach these days. And unfortunately, in our country, you still have to renew your driver's license in 15 years or 10 years. But once you're a teacher, you don't need any.
Don't need any renewal
Yeah.
license. Correct.
So those are the things the schools have to keep doing
We
this.
have in our appraisal process how much of interdisciplinary learning has happened and evidence for it. So
Yes,
we have
yes.
that as part of a very
Because
important
anybody's
component.
talking about it, like, so, I mean, they've used it maybe 200 times in the whole
Yeah, yeah.
policy. Interdisciplinary word has been used
It's
so
very
many.
critical. It's very
Just
critical.
great. So that's all from me, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll leave it to the young lady to conclude, please.
Yeah, Tisha.
And of course, Pranav is here.
Pranav is here. Thank you so much, Edu TV.
Thank you, Mr. Singh and Ms. Deoskar, for such an inspiring and thought-provoking discussion. Your insights on the role of residential schools, the potential for liberal arts, and the preparation required for global careers have provided us with a clear roadmap of the future. As a student myself, I am deeply motivated by your words and the emphasis on adaptability, curiosity, and resilience as key ingredients for success. To our audience, I encourage you to explore more such insightful programs by subscribing to EduTV, where you can connect with millions of eyes across the 28 countries and gain access to content from 3,000 schools, 400 universities, and industry leaders through 2,000 plus videos. Thank you to EduTV for creating this incredible platform, and to our audience for being such an engaged part of today's conversation. Have a great day, and remember, the future is yours to create.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Tisha.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Ajay Singh, Principal, the Scindia School, Gwalior, and Ms. Anju Deoskar, Director Outreach, Flame University, Pune, always helping us. And thank you, Tisha. And thanks to Mrs. Madhulika Sen, Principal, Tagore International School, Vasant Vihar and East of Kailash. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye. Thank
you.
you.